Alright, so we're gonna be going over The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 2. Alright, so this episode was not as good as last episode. I mean, I had my problems with last episode. If not, go back and watch that video. I go in kind of good, deep detail about like why it messes up some lore and some stuff like that. But this episode, there wasn't much that like messes up lore. There wasn't a lot that happened. So let's just do a brief overview of it. So Mando kills the Krayt Dragon last episode. So now he's driving back from what is it, Mos Palos or something like that. And he has Boba Fett's armor strapped to the back of his speeder. Then some random person that we've never seen before pulls a wire and breaks his speeder, and he like tumbles off. And then they pick up the child and they threaten to kill him. And yes, it's a him as far as we know. They refer to him as him. So, but they threaten to kill him, and then instead of wanting the rare Beskar armor, which I don't know, they still haven't said if Boba Fett's armor actually is Beskar or not. In Clone Wars it wasn't, but they're not paying attention to previous canon, so I don't know. But instead of that, which is worth like, we don't even know how much it's worth, but it's like insane. People are willing to kill others over it, like that one-eyed guy last episode. But instead of wanting that, he takes the jetpack from the Mandalorian and he just runs off with it. And then Mando clicks his watch and sends him up, and it drops him, and he dies, and he goes and picks up the jetpack again. And then he just carries his stuff all the way back to town. Which, you'd think that random person sitting out there would have some sort of a vehicle. But I don't know. So then he gets back into town, and he's talking with the mechanic lady, and she's playing poker with a giant ant. And the ant says that he knows where some more Mandalorians are if Mando will pay for his round. And then he loses the round, but he says, I don't know what he says, but the mechanic lady says she knows some contact who wants a free ride in return for the knowledge of where the Mandalorians are. So Mandalorian, he reluctantly agrees, and then she shows up, and it's a frog lady carrying a backpack full of eggs. And she says you can't go into light speed because it will kill the eggs, and that's her last batch. Like, this is her last chance to be a mom. Which, and then, okay, so they pack up on the Razor Crest. It's got that nice one-over that Mando asked for. It's all nice and shiny and fixed up. So they leave, and then while they're flying, Mando walks into the downstairs thing where the child was supposed to be, and he sees Baby Yoda eating some eggs, and he lets him eat eggs, and then he walks up to him and says no, and then closes it. It's kind of a it's played off for comedic effect, but that's kind of dark for Star Wars. Uh, and then as that right after that happens, there's a two X-wing fighters which come up, which that's there shouldn't be rebels or New Republic people in the Outer Rim. It's established that they're not out there yet. Like even in like their books, they say they're not. They're having trouble reaching out into the outer systems. So that's a little iffy, but I mean, it's just an episode. Like, it's just two fighters out there. I'm not super picky about that. Um, so they ask to identify. They ask him to identify his craft and ask him for turn on like a transponder, then turn on something else, and then instead of doing that, he takes a dive towards some random ice planet, and then he crashes into there, and then he breaks through the ice down a level, and completely messes up his ship. Like, I thought they were making a point to like fix his ship last episode, and then this one it's completely trashed. And then you see the X-wings fly away, and then he just starts working on his ship, and then he stops working for a minute, and the frog lady, so Mando stops working. He's like, we're not gonna get this done today. And then he goes to sleep, and then the droid from last season that was on the ship, it was like something Zero. He was working with those bounty hunters, that droid, anyway. So she turns that droid on and is like talking into it and making it speak Galactic Basic. She says like, we can't wait till tomorrow. And then she's like, you need to uphold your Mandalorian creed. Isn't holding your word part of the Mandalorian creed? And that's what she says. So then he's like, oh, and he goes back outside and he starts working, and then Baby Yoda like walks outside, and he starts like pointing away from the ship, and then he starts running away, and then Mando follows him to this, or he follows him, picks him up, and he sees that Frog Lady has wandered away from the ship, and she's in the hot spring with all of her little eggs. And then Baby Yoda tries to eat an egg. Mandalorian says we need to go back to the ship. It's too dangerous out here. So when Baby Yoda tries to eat the egg, the Mandalorian like points at him and says no, and Baby Yoda wanders off and touches this like weird looking thing. It turns out it's an egg. He eats this like spider looking thing, and these like 1,000 little eggs hatch, and then there's a big spider thing. Of course it has to be spiders. But then all these spiders chase him all the way back to the Razor Crest, which has gaping holes in it. Then they get all the way up to the cockpit and think they're going to be safe there, but like there should be vents that go all around the ship to give everyone oxygen. I don't know why they're not crawling through there, but so they get stuck there, and then you see all these lasers flying, and they're killing all the spiders crawling all over the ship. And then Mando walks out, and then he sees that it's the two X-wing pilots, and then they're like, you should be under arrest, but you did apprehend some criminals. And the Mandalorian's like, well, why don't you just give me some help and we'll call it even? And they just leave him in the frozen tundra. He's probably expecting that he's just gonna die. And then the Mandalorian like fixes the what is it, the pilot's place, the cockpit. And he fixes that and says like it's the only place that he can pressurize, and then he like gets the Razor Crest to barely take off, and it ends with him in space. So like there was no resolution to this episode. It was kind of filler. I don't think you should have filler in a season of 8 episodes. I think this one is still going to be 8 episodes. I don't think I've seen anything that says it's going to be any more. But I mean, special effects did a really good job. I'd probably would have said, maybe another draft. Maybe we don't cut this episode so short. I mean, this one was like 45 minutes. I probably would have had it like, I don't know. I probably would have organized it a little differently. There was not a big reason for him to crash into Ice Planet. I don't know why he didn't tell the pilots that he was carrying. My first time I watched it, I thought she was like an endangered species, and she said something like, "This is my last chance for my species, or my last chance for me," or something. So I thought that her species was like endangered or something. But I don't. On my second time watching it, I didn't get that same impression. So, but still, like, someone carrying someone else to a rendezvous to another planet to like save a species is not. I'm pretty sure the Republic would help you with that. So I don't know why he didn't just say like, "Hey, I have a woman on board who needs to get to X planet. Can you give me like like, can you lead the way for me or something?" I don't know. Let me think. What else is there? The people puppeteering for Baby Yoda are doing a pretty good job. It's good to see that he's like actually walking around now after 50 years of being alive. I mean, it's typically when people are like, "Oh, I'm 900 years old," they have a like just like a human life, and then like when they get to like into their prime, then they start slowly aging. But so it's a miracle that Baby Yoda has a species. Hopefully the next episode will be better. Hopefully we'll get something. But this episode wasn't like terrible. Like every episode of The Mandalorian, you can always sit down and watch and enjoy. I am pointing out these problems just because I hope that they can work on them down the line and take The Mandalorian from like an average show into a great show. But that's just me. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.